The book of Isaiah says that God sees all nations of the world as nothing more than a drop-in bucket. It means everything. Thomas told me. So, is America uniquely blessed? You better watch out, because patriotism quickly turns into idolatry. There's more than one way to be an idol worshiper. In the Old Testament there were Moloch and child sacrifices and things like that. But Satan is cunning. We don't have statues anymore. We have political parties and presidential candidates. Thomas thought he had done his penance. He and Blinded by Might co-writer Dobson have managed to force a conversation that many Christians don't want to have. A quarter century later, reused our coffee mugs when we filled out. Thomas told me he didn't know what more could contribute to the conversation. Look at this new generation. Over 20% of young people have no faith at all. I think part of that is our responsibility because of what we model, which is to be evangelical. Thomas said, these kids don't want to get caught up in the us versus them thing. They have friends with different points of view and they think they have hate them to go church. He continued, the biggest mistake of evangelical movement today is that we disobey the commands of very person we claim to obey. What were those commands? Love your enemies. Pray for those who persecute you. Feed the hungry. Clothe the naked. Take care of widows and orphans. Visit those in prison. Seek first the kingdom of God. There are millions of Christians in America who follow these commandments scrupulously, but there are millions more who don't follow them, or who follow them selectively and inconsistently at best. I remembered what Pastor John Torres, a family friend, told me about his congregation at Goodwill Church in the Hudson Valley. Some of its most politically passionate people were also its most generous. It is, of course, possible for believers to have warm hearts and wrong priorities. The problem is that the first two commandments Thomas mentions, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you, are simply incompatible with the culture warrior mentality that many kind and charitable evangelicals embrace. The public doesn't see their support for single mothers or their donations to African clean water initiatives. What they see is a grudge that overshadows these good deeds and even makes them seem unlikely to happen. When you ask the average person, what do they think it means to be a Christian? Pro-Trump, Republican, right-wing, anti-abortion. They will say they don't like gays. They're going to be on the list. Thomas told me, because that's what we're modeling before the world. These are our public priorities, not other things that get very little human attention, all God's attention. The irony is that Thomas himself was no stranger to the culture wars. Even after Blinded by Might, he continued to publish a column that regularly took polarizing positions on already divisive issues.